Our next step is to infuse psychology with flesh and soul, empowering you to become the strongest brain. Since the beginning of civilization, humans have considered themselves to be the chosen ones, the spirits of all things. However, in human history, there have been 3 enlightenments that have dealt a significant blow to our dignity, leading humans to have a true understanding of themselves. The first blow was Galileo's heliocentric theory, which revealed that the Earth we live on is not the center of the universe. Faced with this blow, humans comforted themselves by saying, "It doesn't matter. Although we only live in a corner of the universe, at least we humans were created by God." But then Darwin said that humans were not created by God, but rather evolved from monkeys. This was the second blow to human dignity. At this point, humans comforted themselves by saying, "It doesn't matter. Although our bodies are like monkeys, we still have noble souls, morals, and ideals." Unfortunately, Freud dealt the third blow to human dignity. He said that humans are actually like animals, full of savage, animalistic, and dirty thoughts. Our morals, ideals, and noble souls are just disguises that cover up these animalistic thoughts. And where are these animalistic thoughts stored? The answer is in our subconscious. Freud compared our consciousness to a searchlight that illuminates what we can perceive, while the darkness in our minds is our true nature. This place is called the subconscious, which lies hidden in the darkness beneath the surface. Based on this hypothesis, Freud proposed that each of us can be divided into 3 parts: the ID, the ego, and the superego. What is the relationship between these 3? You will understand after hearing the following story. When a person sees a beautiful girl, their ID will say, "I want to have sex with this girl." Here, the ID represents our animal nature. But the superego will say, "No, you can't do that. You're a scoundrel." Here, the superego represents civilization, moral constraints, and social norms. When there is a conflict between the ID and the superego, the ego will jump out and say, "Don't argue. You can go after that girl, marry her, and then have sex with her." The conflict between the ID and the superego is a conflict between animal nature and civilization, and the ego has to solve this conflict anytime and anywhere. Defense mechanisms for resolving conflicts between animal nature and civilization. The simplest way to resolve conflicts is to suppress the ID, deeply bury the unacceptable views or bad thoughts that cannot be accepted by society, and do not let these thoughts enter our consciousness. This is the simplest and most commonly used defense mechanism we use: repression. But you should know that repression, like a dam holding back water, if the floodgates are not open to release the water level will continue to rise, and eventually, the water will overflow the dam and even break it. Therefore, when repression cannot solve the conflict, we have developed 5 ways to resolve conflicts: substitution, sublimation, reaction formation, projection, and rationalization. What do these mean? Don't worry, I will explain them one by one through some scenarios. The first is substitution. For example, we often see people who like to bite their fingers. According to Freud's explanation, this may be due to attachment to their mother's breasts. So these people use finger biting to replace the process of sucking milk. Substitution, as the name suggests, is to replace bad behavior with acceptable behavior. The second is sublimation, which is to transform bad behavior into behavior that is respected by others. For example, a person with a violent tendency is not accepted by our modern civilized society, but he can transform his aggressive behavior into socially appreciated business competition behavior and become a successful businessman or a domineering CEO that everyone admires. Another example is Leonardo da Vinci's famous painting, the Mona Lisa. Freud said that da Vinci was separated from his mother at a young age, so he had a strong attachment to his mother. In adulthood, Da Vinci sublimated his attachment to his mother into his artistic creation and painted the world-famous Mona Lisa. The third method of defense is reaction formation. Psychologists have found that many extreme anti-gay people are actually gay themselves. This is reaction formation, where a behavior or attitude is not accepted by society, so in order to avoid being discovered, these people will go to the other extreme. The fourth method is projection. A stingy person usually thinks that others are stingy, a picky person thinks that others are picky. Projection is to project the traits that one possesses but are not accepted or opposed by society onto others, believing that others, not oneself, possess these traits. The last method is rationalization. When a violent father beats a child, he will rationalize his behavior by saying that he is disciplining the child for their healthy growth. Rationalization is to find a reasonable explanation for one's own wrong behavior. From repression to substitution, sublimation, reaction formation, projection, and rationalization, these 6 methods constitute our defense mechanisms. And these defense mechanisms can to a large extent resolve the conflict between the ID and the superego, that is, the animalistic thoughts that exist in our subconscious and our civilization. Psychoanalysis, letting the subconscious express freely. However, in some cases, when conflicts are not resolved and accumulate, they can lead to various mental illnesses. Therefore, Freud developed a theory and technique for treating mental illness called psychoanalysis. After more than a century of development, psychoanalysis remains one of the mainstream methods for psychological counseling and treatment today. The core of psychoanalysis is to uncover the root of conflicts. To achieve this, Freud invented a series of tools to help people express their subconscious actively. For example, free association involves giving a word, such as potato, and asking the person to quickly say the first word that comes to mind without thinking. Freud attempted to find clues to the subconscious from these free associations. Another commonly used tool in psychoanalysis is dream interpretation. Freud believed that when we sleep, the suppression of the subconscious is reduced. Therefore, our suppressed animalistic thoughts during the day will take on various disguises and become strange dreams. Thus, Freud believed that analyzing dreams could reveal the secrets of our subconscious. Directly probing the darkness of human nature, Freud's theory has been considered somewhat one-sided and extreme by modern psychology. Our subconscious is not all animalistic and dirty. To a large extent, our subconscious is neutral and indifferent to good or bad. Therefore, Freud's theory has gradually been replaced by the theory of cognitive unconsciousness, which has a weaker impact on psychology as a whole. However, Freud's theory has had a profound impact on literature and art. It can be said that without understanding psychoanalysis, one cannot understand modern art. After class contemplation, can you analyze the needs expressed by your ID and superego in a scene from your life? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section. Until our next lecture, farewell.